Hey, this is The Fighter, and I might be the fighter, but now we're here with the Smithsonian of Mixed Martial Arts. Man who knows everything about the sport, Eddie Goldman. Eddie, how are you today?
Very good. I don't know everything, but I know the essence of what goes on in mixed martial art. I just saw a friend of mine that I recently made an acquaintance with on Facebook sent me a video from 1979 of a show in Pittsburgh. They didn't even have a name for the sport, but they had wrestlers and martial artists and whatever. They wore headgear and they took each other down and they boxed and they punched. They did it in a ring, and a lot of them were steel workers, union members, good union members. And I don't know whatever came of the thing, but this has been going on quite a long time.
See, already Eddie knows way more than I could ever even possibly know. Now, you're here today doing a panel at the MMA World Expo to talk about the future of mixed martial arts. So tell us a little bit right now first about, I guess, the past and what you think about how the MMA sport has evolved from day one that you've been watching.
I'm dedicating this panel to my friend, he's still with us, I don't want to get confused, Mike Thomas, and I've been playing phone tag because he misplaced his damn phone, and you know how that works when you can't find your cell phone. Anyway, if you don't know who Mike Thomas is, you don't know someone who's a pioneer of the sport, someone without whom we probably wouldn't be here. And Mike Thomas is being honored on Saturday night, November 13th, at the Ringside MMA show, which is a local show at the Pierre Charbonneau Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Mike was basically the key person that developed the Quebec rules in '96, after 8 people were busted at the Extreme Fighting 2 show, and it was utter chaos. The Ganawagi community and martial artists and a lot of supporters had a real grassroots movement, and in '98 they got the Quebec rules passed, and it was sanctioned under those rules, which were adopted more or less in 2000 by the California State Athletic Commission. And upon hearing it was adopted there, Larry Hazard, then the great head of the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, adopted them for New Jersey. You had IFC and UFC in the fall of 2000. Those rules were the nucleus. They're about 95% of what we have today, the unified rules. They were modified a little bit more the following year, and that is the rough origin of it. And you had a grassroots movement in California that got the rules passed in California. Initially, the commission there said, we can't allow chokes, you're going to kill people. And it's explained to them, you know, this is used in Olympic judo. And these are boxing guys, so they didn't know very much about anything, even about boxing. But they educated them because all the martial artists went there, the jiu-jitsu people, the judo people, the wrestling people, all these people from these different arts got together and educated them and got it passed in California. It wasn't implemented until 2006 because of, you know, budgetary problems and things like that. So there's a long history.
So now you just got a history lesson on the rules of mixed martial arts. Now let's talk about something else that you cover a lot, which is boxing. Now, a lot of MMA fans aren't really fans of boxing for some reason. Why do you think that is?
It's a combination of reasons, some good and some bad. The good reasons are boxing has destroyed its credibility. There are 1,000,001, quote, champions. The best guys don't fight the best. There's utter corruption. This weekend you have Margachito fighting Pacachito.
That's a lot of Cheetos. That's a lot of Cheetos.
Yes, it's a lot of Cheetos. And it's healthier for you to eat Cheetos than believe any of the crap from boxing. And now Bob Arum and Top Rank and HBO want you to pay whatever they're charging, $50 to see this fight, when one of these guys should be in jail and the other guy is a politician, which alone, you know, I don't like to use dirty words too much, so hopefully people won't be offended by a word that should be a dirty word, which is politician.
Yeah. Right now, you're doing a panel today, as we mentioned at the start of this interview, about the future of mixed martial arts. So give us a little taste of what you're going to be talking about today.
We're going to see what comes up, because I think the future is cloudy. And I think there are, first of all, if you don't have the best fighting the best, it's going to be the same thing in boxing, like with Pacquiao and Mayweather not fighting, and 1,000,001 other examples of it. People are going to really get pissed off, and people are starting to see through whatever propaganda is put out by, you know, particularly UFC and other companies too, about why they can't have a Fedor fight whoever the UFC heavyweight champion is this week, since it changes a lot, or you can't have Gilbert Melendez or Eddie Alvarez, or one excuse after the other. The other thing that you have to watch is the issue of head trauma. And a lot of MMA people have been in denial, because years ago, our defense of MMA was, well, it's safer than boxing, it's safer than football, you allow those, case closed. I don't know that you can make that argument anymore with a lot more head trauma, and also with the science, understanding CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy at this point, understanding what that does to people. And there's the NFL is really on the defensive if you're following that. That's the only sport that I know of where headbutts are still legal. And they're getting a lot of crap for all the concussions and the injuries. They're changing the rules in the NFL mid-season, which is really unprecedented. A lot of the defenders don't know what a legal hit or a legal tackle is anymore, and it is kind of vague. It's very unprecedented. The question's going to become, as we understand these sports better, are sports where you're allowed to hit someone in the head going to become socially unacceptable and viewed as so dangerous that they might not be allowed? And you could say, well, now that's impossible now. You know, but at one point we had Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr dueling, and I don't know if that was legal, but that was considered socially acceptable. Well, a couple hundred years later, it's not. What's going to happen in 50 years with our better understanding of science? It's a real question that has to be addressed. So the future of MMA might be grappling.
All right, so grappling, something that people should be watching more of to begin with. Now, this is something you've also talked a lot about on your show, is the legalization of mixed martial arts in New York. So at this point, we're still fighting for it, but in short, because we only got 10 minutes on YouTube, why should mixed martial arts be legal in New York?
Why not? I think that if it's regulated properly, it can be done safe. I think people should have the right to fight. People should have the right to see the shows. If they don't want to see them, nobody's forcing you to see them. You don't have to watch them. And I think it's much better if the sport were properly regulated. I think actually the New York State Athletic Commission, while it's far from perfect, can provide probably a higher degree of regulation than almost any commission in the United States in terms of fighter safety. Also, by New York law, the fighter contracts can be made public, which are not done in other states, and fighters may have more rights. So I think that it's something, it has to be regulated because I think it's a legitimate sport, but I think what's going to be acceptable regulations is going to change over the years. And it also gives a business advantage to Las Vegas and the West Coast and all that, because MMA in the northeastern part of the United States is totally underdeveloped because it's been illegal in New York. Once you have it legal in New York, there are going to be shows, not just a big show at Madison Square Garden, there'll be that, of course, but you can have shows every part of the state, from Buffalo, Syracuse, Utica, Albany, Westchester, Nassau, Suffolk County, all Staten Island, Brooklyn, all over the place. And that's going to lift up the whole region as more and more shows run and more people train in the sport and train in related sports like jiu-jitsu and wrestling and Muay Thai and Sambo and all that.
All right, so Eddie, how do we find out more about yourself and No Holds Barred?
Go to eddiegoldman.com and go to Doc Holliday's bar when I'm there. I haven't been down there enough, but try eddiegoldman.com and then we could meet you for some drinks at one of the last great remaining dive bars in our gentrified and dying New York City.
That's Eddie Goldman. Whenever he gets a chance, he plugs something that he likes. Eddie, thanks for your time.
Thanks. And I don't get paid for that by .com. I'm a paying customer.